You live?
Yes. The person who loses the negotiation speaks first, John.
Very true. Very true.
You are looking live at Lucas Oil Stadium. Hi, everybody. YouTube only. What's up, y'all? Have you detoxed? Middlekauff's back. You sound good. You sound better than you went. Middlecoff put in Herb Street level hours Sunday night, Monday.
I did, a little soft. Got home from about 9:30 to noon. Headed to the bed.
Sleep number, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, sleepnumber.com/ham. I needed a little, because it's not healthy to have 3 or 4 hours. There's only, Kobe and Michael Jordan. Certain people didn't need sleep. I am not one of those. I just am not able to think, So I'm just trying to get back to equilibrium.
If you're going to, again, if you're willing to, hit the gym, if you're willing to, eat a salad, then you should be willing to sleep. It's what's required to have you at your best for a big week. Big week. All right. YouTube only. We're just hanging today on a Monday. This is not the podcast. If you haven't checked out the pod, go check it out. Like this video if you're here. Well, obviously you're here. So hit that like button. We appreciate that. Helps out.
One thing I was thinking about that we didn't talk about yesterday about SoFi that is just an underrated aspect. They have these bars all around the stadium. Like
outside.
Just bars outside. No, not just like inside, around kind of the concourse.
Okay.
That, like in Levi's, that bottom bar, on like the visitor side, but you have to have like the VIP ticket.
Yeah, Bell Melon, PNG Melon or whatever.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, but I don't know what it takes to get in there. I think Chase is kind of similar, right? Has some sweet shit like underneath.
Yeah.
But again, you get the price point on those. They have some that if you just have a pretty decent seat, like you just can just go to the bars, and there's tables
anytime.
Yeah, it's I was thinking about that. Like that's pretty underrated. Now their food. Now, do you really judge a stadium on food? But I thought, their food, some burritos. I don't think I saw hamburgers or anything. It was hot dogs. Pretty average.
Hamburger's not my stadium order anyway.
What would your stadium order be?
Dog.
Yeah.
Probably nachos. Always a go-to. Now you start getting some always a bowl. Like something that's eat. Bowls are good.
Bowls are good. But see, I didn't even see bowls. That was something I didn't see.
All right, we've got the national championship tonight. We got a lot of football to talk about. I spent some time listening to Dallas radio, John. Have me on. I'll do a segment called Behind Enemy Lines. I listened to a little of, I listened to a Cowboys podcast today. I listened to some Dallas radio, reading up. The playoffs are just.
When you think the Cowboys, from a media perspective, like who pops to your head? Besides like Romo.
Yeah, and Aikman.
Yeah, they don't count.
Skip Bayless? I don't know. Am I missing somebody who should?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Dude, it doesn't feel like they have like a entrenched guy that just, like Philly has that Andy Gargano and Missinelli, and New York's had Francesa forever. Yeah. Boston has some guys.
Brian Broaddus?
Does he have a? Yeah, who is Dallas's go-to?
I don't know. I went to their athletic page. It's like Seattle. It's like there's guy like boom. I know where I'm going. Chargers. I know where I'm going. Rams. I know where I'm going. I didn't really. The Cowboys coverage was now maybe they have so much stuff, but like the first article was just like people breaking down every game. Then there was a Sando article, so I didn't quite get what
Jane Slater.
Yeah, Slater. That's a good one. Archer, right? I should have gone to. I never know in the moment. Like I see him on my Twitter timeline all the time. Like who can I read? Go read right now. I'll give you a few nuggets, John.
Werder got canned and then came back. He was out and then he's like, I'm back at ESPN.
Andres is David Heldman. They got Greg Zuerlein. They got a problem. He's missed the most extra points in the NFL this year. I just went and looked at the numbers. Well, he missed 6, and I thought that's got to lead the league, and it does.
What do you think about
Jerry Jones was talking about him on radio today? Like we got to be not just consistency in our kicking game has not been consistent.
What do you think? I understand it with like head coach gets a job and like brings a couple of his guys, or like a coach like brings a quarterback that he knows. Bones Jones just brings their line. It's like, well,
is that what it was?
Well, I mean, that was the guy. He's the Rams former kicker, right? Wasn't he Greg the Leg? Remember he had the big leg? And now he's just not that good anymore. You can just find random kickers. It feels like the Raiders are a good example. Who the hell is that guy? And he just became a really good player. The Eagles have a guy that you can find. Justin Tucker was an undrafted free agent. The thing with kickers and really even punters, but it feels like more punters get drafted than kickers that then become good, is like you can keep funneling them. Like, can you imagine what Farhan Zaidi would do with kickers and punters?
Would never pay one.
He would just have them on minimum deals, zero guaranteed money, and the moment you missed a field goal, would there a chance that he'd go through like 4 or 5 kickers in a season? You miss one field goal, you'd be done.
The problem is the drop-off is so, like, you can't go lefty-righty matchup. Now, would he go like punter who has a big leg and can also kick from outside of 40 and then kick special teams, short field goal? You see that in college sometimes when you can have like 5 different kickers. Not 5, but you see it in college where like some guys kick the long field goals, some guys kick the short field goals.
Well, like because Wisnowski got KO'd. What if? Did you bring this up, or someone brought this up to me within the last like year? Why couldn't a guy? Maybe it was a DM. Couldn't a guy do both? Like, why doesn't a guy just focus on both?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about the game, like Robbie had to punt, and I'm like, I wonder Robbie really what he does during the week besides kicks and field. I bet he plays a lot of golf, and he's a big golfer. He always plays in that Century tournament. Like, his week is not like Jimmy's or Nick Bosa's at the facility. Can you imagine though if you could just do both? Now, is it kind of risky because if he does get hurt, you would be fucked in the game? Like, if your punter got hurt and he was also your kicker, what would you do?
You just have to have your Debo or somebody, right? I don't know what your point afters would be dicey.
You're saying Debo would kick field goals?
Well, I mean, it's worth a shot.
Would you put it past him?
No. I got a great text, a great way to describe Debo today from our buddy AJ Ratting out at Sac State Basketball. He's like, the best way I can describe Debo is when he gets the ball, more football happens. I was like, that is a perfect way to describe Debo. Like, when he gets the ball, just 6 seconds of football is about to happen. You know?
Is he the best wide receiver in this game?
CD. I mean, I think I'd rather have Debo. CD's really good. I got a lot of respect for CD, but I would take Debo over Amari.
I think
most people would.
Yeah.
Gallup's hurt, right?
Torn ACL.
You know, Dalton Schultz is second on their team in catches.
That guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
That guy's pretty good. I do think the Niners, in theory, with Warner and Greenlaw, like they have bodies to run with a tight end like that. I feel more on the outside is their limitations. Now, having Gallup get injured, which sucks. I think a guy tearing his ACL when he's about to be a free agent and he's a talented player. In ACL injuries, it's not like it's 1987. It's not going to ruin his career or anything.
Unless you're Wiseman, who gets a meniscus and doesn't play for like a year.
Is there a lock that Wiseman ever plays again? Who knows? That would have been very, very difficult, though, throwing him. And that Wilson guy, number one, is not bad.
Yeah.
So that would have been a lot. Gallup at full strength. Amari. I saw Amari I saw it on my Twitter timeline within the last week of because he had a down year for what he's had with the Cowboys the last couple of years statistically. And was like, I feel like I'm playing as good as ever. You kind of it's not on me. Amari can be a little weird that way. Like, he wasn't taking a shot at Dak, but he kind of was. But he's also is he talking about the coaches? Amari's a weird cat.
Is he going to? Well, I mean, he's got 8 touchdowns, which matches his career high. He's got 68 catches, which is low for him, under 1,000 yards for the first time in a full season for him.
I do think he miss a couple games.
Yeah. He
because he got Corona and. But still, 68 feels low.
Is he going to be at the game tonight, you think? Was he at the game? Was he at the semifinal, wasn't he? I thought I saw him didn't we see him on the sideline?
Yeah, he was. But that was in Dallas.
Yeah, that's true. But the Chiefs made it. Remember, we saw Pat Mahomes and
made
Kelsey?
It on a Saturday morning.
So,
or maybe that was Friday morning. Friday,
yeah.
Our flight, private jet, maybe 45 minutes.
I mean, Black Monday, pretty crazy. Flores.
Hightower.
Zimmer. Hightower, by the way, give him his flowers, John. Hightower had Robbie Gold ready, had Kyle Juszczyk ready.
True.
Shout out to Michael, who said, after I saw Guy's video on the Niners-Cowboys, I threw a money line parlay on Seahawks, Bucks, Cowboys, and Niners, plus 1453. So my trip to the game is all because of Guy. How much did you bet?
Well, Seattle was a big underdog. The Bucks and Cowboys were favored, and the Niners were like a 4 or 5 point underdog. You had to be. I mean, the Niners. You were not feeling good there for a long period of time with that parlay.
No, I wonder how much you bet, Michael. How much did you bet? 100.
Well, if you bet $100, he won 1,500.
So, was that pay for half a seat at this game?
Well, you could get a single seat for $300-400.
It said get in. ESPN.com shows you like tickets. Get in. It's like 125
to
but
SoFi.
I don't believe that. Yeah.
Or
No. To Dallas.
What do you think? 2 good seats. You want to go?
Yeah.
What would you guess right now?
How about what you want to save it for Green Bay?
No, I would have no desire, even though I want to go there maybe once in my life. I would not want to go there in January. I would go there like, I'll check it out in September. I would not check it out in the frigid cold. I mean, could you do a 7-degree game for 3 hours outside?
No.
Do you have any desire to do that? And I think the Green Bay people would tell you that's how you have to do it. But I'll promise you, not me.
Standing room nosebleeds are 300. Standing rooms 165.
What's
bought
this for?
tickets for 650. Niners Cowboys.
NFC wildcard. 2 tickets. There are a lot of fucking seats for sale. Holy shit.
Well, those Cowboys fans trying to gouge the Niner fans. Who will I?
So kind of where I sat, SoFi, 2 seats, amazing deal. $1,270 seller fees. You're talking a lot of money.
Well, how much?
I mean, $1,270 plus $1,400.
Oh, plus seller fees, which is percentage.
About $2,800 for 2 seats.
Danny Trujillo come with those seats?
I hope so.
What was the? Can we talk about Ambry Thomas?
Yeah.
What was the Kyle? We mentioned a little bit on the podcast Sunday night. If you're just joining us, you're watching a YouTube only live stream. Can you read me the Kyle Shanahan quote about Ambry Thomas?
Yeah, he's definitely made me a believer. He's definitely made a believer out of me the second half of the season. I wouldn't have believed it the way it started off. Do you think when he says that he means in the preseason or like when he started playing?
Because he could mean like the first time I saw him in practice, right?
Yeah, because there's just who even
because it's
knows?
not like he would start. It's not like he started and then got benched. He might mean like the preseason, like when he first saw him in practice.
I wouldn't have believed the way it started off. That sounds harsh, but it took time. When he gets his opportunity, he was ready, and he shows what's in him. And we saw the Mayoko video that he tweeted out, which was pretty. I mean, that's a cool video of both him and Adam Peters hugging that guy specifically.
John Lynch and Adam Peters, yeah.
You know, it was one thing, Debo or Aiyuk, like everyone's happy. That guy, when it goes bad at corner, it just goes really bad, right? I mean, it's one of those positions like being like a reliever and you're just having like the worst month of your life, giving up a bunch of home runs. If you're a corner, you're just getting smoked all the time. You're like, I don't know.
Well, and I'd also say though, I think you're right. But think about if you're a reliever, you can give up a home run after you've made 15 other good pitches. You can make one bad pitch and you blew it, right? I mean, there's different versions, right? There's relievers who just can't find the strike zone. But there's also sometimes a guy gets it 1, 2, 3, nailed down ninth. But like the third out was a fly ball to the warning track that the wind knocked down, right? And you just got lucky. Yeah. Like my point is Ambry, if he plays, I don't know, we'll say around, if he plays 50 snaps and gives up a touchdown on one and a 15-yard gain on another and a PI on another, it's like, damn, bro. But he might have played 47 good snaps. It's just hard because your margin, it's like we talk about being an offensive lineman. Just you get 2 blow-bys and you're not good enough.
No.
Pretty crazy.
It's not an easy, you got to have a mind like a goldfish. And Jimmy does too. Right? I mean, that's to me Jimmy's greatest quality is he's wired like a corner. He just forgets. He can just throw the worst pass you've ever seen. His next snap could just be a beautiful pass.
He is pretty.
How's this even possible?
Right. He is pretty mentally tough in that.
Like I feel, and again, I got to go back and maybe just at least power through a couple Cowboy games over the last month. The Eagle game, I'm not going to even factor that in, but I think the Cardinal game, because when I've just watched Dak, at least on like the red zone, he just hasn't seemed like he's been as good as even I thought he was earlier in the season.
I think you're right. From what I just watching some of the Cardinal game today,
He wasn't good in that game for sure.
Well, they were not. Yeah, they just weren't good. Cardinals, you can get open down the field on them.
Kyler's never lost to that stadium.
Yeah, the Cardinals are. Is there a college game that includes?
No, well, I mean, he played all those high school championships there. I guess he's played the Cowboys now a couple times. I think he's like 7-8-0 in Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, they struggle with them. And now he's mobile.
And he played there at Oklahoma. I mean, he's just never lost there.
Wow.
I mean, that's
he's
his home.
Did he go to Perriman?
Well, he's from there. Well, he never lost a game in high school. And, when you play at that, he was in the best high school team. Probably play the semis and the championship there. Oklahoma probably played the Big 12 championship there. He's played now and beat the Cowboys. I just think in a weird way, you see the Cardinals are 3-5 at home. Someone was like, it might be better off they lost the division because they suck at home.
Well, they just said, what are they? They've lost 4 or 5.
Well, they're terrible down. I mean, it's not really debatable now. They are a team that you cannot trust once the month of December hits. Like now we have evidence because their team these last couple of years clearly talented, right? It's not like lack of the personnel. Like no, they got playoff dudes all over the place. Something's just off. That losing that game yesterday, I was kicking myself. Would you have felt good? It's always easy to do this about the Seattle going into that game. I think we kind of talked about it in my bookie.
What happened was definitely not surprising, but to say I would have felt good about Seattle would have been a lie.
They were up the entire game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just if I'm being honest with myself, I can't say I would have felt good about that game. Cook Smoke Sports, which is the trifecta, said, John, Jimmy earned my respect last night. That was epic. Niner fan comeback for the ages. Jimmy is a warrior. Yeah, I mean, did you see the video of him and, who was it? One of the offensive linemen almost high-fiving and then stopping, like realizing as they were about to high-five, like sideways five. Jimmy's thumb.
Bad finger.
Yeah.
I did not. Was that during the game or after the game?
During the game. Cards 1-4 down the stretch. Only win was in Dallas. Yeah. And again, that game was like, it's not like that game was like 34-31. I think it was like 17-13 or something weird.
Well, the one thing about Dallas, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they lose both their coordinators to head. I mean, Dan Quinn, it kind of feels like he's going to be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, him and Patton. Patton's got connections to like half of the available coaches.
Which is pretty wild that Dan Quinn, it shows you. You just go have a sweet year as a coordinator. Everyone forgets. Remember for years it was like, what's this guy doing in Atlanta? Now it's like, hire him.
Are you
Maybe part of it's being a good guy. People like him a lot.
Well, I get it, but it's like you're just going defense again. Whatever, but I guess it's what they are. Don't go backwards on one side.
Who else would they hire?
Well, the other guy that Pat knows is Jonathan Gannon, who's a DC for the Eagles. Work with Bieniemy. I mean, feels like a pretty sweet gig if you could get.
Feels like there's a lot of names in this group.
Yeah,
I haven't even read Brian Daboll's name.
Daboll, Flores,
Nagy,
Leftwich, Nagy.
Nagy probably needs a rehab year.
Yeah, but I mean, how about the Flores thing? Is insane.
Is it though?
Well, it's not once you hear the detail. To me, what's insane about it is you hired a Belichick guy, and I think you got it right. Like he was producing.
19 wins, 2 years. They missed the playoffs back-to-back years by one game.
They were bad.
Do you know they went 9-8?
Yeah,
they just started 1-7.
They started 1-7, so maybe they decided early. I can't imagine what it was like for him to walk in the building every day. Just if it's true that Greer wanted Tua and he wanted Herbert, it's probably just best to leave. It's probably better off for him to go.
How many teams in league history have ended up above 500 with a 1-7 start? I would imagine the overwhelming majority of teams are drafting in the top 6-7 picks with that start. Even if you do kind of get the train back on the tracks,
right?
I always thought he was really impressive. I mean, how good isn't their defense good?
You'd probably have to say 1-6, right? Just because in a 16-game schedule, if you start 1-7, it's almost
Yeah, I guess
to go over 500, you got to almost go undefeated. But
I think the Colts started 1-5 last year, and they ended up going 11-5. Still can't believe they lost to the Jags.
Well, they slow start every year, and it cost them this year, and it almost cost them last year.
Yeah, can't start. Well, I mean, look at the Niners this year. Starting slow in the NFL, There's a difference between like 2-2 and 1-4. Even if you lose multiple games in overtime or something early on, you're just constantly digging yourself out of the hole.
This is a pretty interesting matchup, Quinn and Shanahan.
I didn't even think about that. They reunite with the 28-3 guys. Because Kyle, I've always said this, Kyle takes more responsibility for 28-3 than Dan does. You never hear Dan brought up 28-3. It's always Kyle. You would think, if I was Kyle, it's like, it would have been nice to, if I'm going to take all the shit, at least get paid like the head coach at the time. Best thing that ever happened to Matt. I mean, Matt Ryan's career, pretty irrelevant post-Kyle.
I mean, it was one of the things I read the other day. It was like, not that Atlanta can get out from it anyway, but that like Arthur Smith wants him. Okay, you're just stuck in the middle ground forever, and not forever, but until you move on.
I do think though, there's like, and you see this, it's different, but with Jimmy and Kyle, it's just you just sleep better at night when you just know the guy can do what you want him to do, even if it's not great all the time. I think some of these offensive guys are terrified to hitch their wagon at someone who just might suck. They're just this unknown. Like I left that game thinking, depends how these next couple weeks go, which is not out of the realm of possibility. I don't know, man. I mean, what if this guy's just a major project?
Yeah, that could mean that Jimmy Garoppolo's back.
And then Trey's even a year better, a year more to work on, so he's even a more valuable backup. But now, if to me Jimmy's not back, if like you lose this game by 20 or something, like it'd be hard. Wait, you just had 3 first-round picks and you just have this guy in the backup? It would start to feel a little weird.
Apparently, I saw on Twitter this morning, apparently Grant Cohn and Nick Wright made the same analogy about Jimmy. Did you see it? The analogy?
What was the analogy?
That he's an arsonist and a firefighter. I mean, I gotta just tip my hat. That's a pretty good analogy, right?
That is,
because I texted a buddy, Ryan Radke, last night. I'm like,
to me, arsonist would be strong. I'd call him like a pyro, because I mean, I don't think he's
the arsonist had webbed feet.
Would you put him as an arsonist?
No, I mean he's not an arsonist, but it's just arsonist sounds better than pyro.
No, it does.
It just because it's a better way of saying what I texted my buddy Ryan Radke last night, which is Garoppolo saved the season from himself. Like the incredible moment to me is a little funny when you put yourself in that position to go get the moment, But he did it. He did do it, and that's the sport. Is like imperfect performances, and then there's clutch time, and in clutch time he stepped up. And I thought it was a good take because it's a reminder of like Garoppolo. We know what it looks like, John. There's no it. Now, some days he makes better throws than others. He's capable of doing what he did the other day. He's actually like no timeouts in a minute is becoming
when he thrives. When he thrives.
So
maybe they should just treat every drive like it's 2 minutes left, no timeouts, and just let it rip. The problem is that Kyle can't call runs.
Can't call 10 straight runs in that spot. But
arsonist, that's a good one. That is pretty good.
It's a good one. Like you just got to give your flowers to that one. I just I know what it's going to look like. Like we know how this. I'm not saying I know what's going to happen in the Cowboy game, but I'm saying I know how it looks when it looks good, and I know how it looks when it looks bad. I know how it looks when it looks medium, and you can't live with that forever. You can't.
How about the play early in the game when it felt like they were going to get killed? Jimmy gets sacked and the ball gets hit out. Somehow they fell on it, but it was like, oh my, is Jimmy going to have 7 turnovers?
I did not think they deserved that football.
Well, I thought the Cowboy guy this Rams guy had it more in his hand.
I absolutely thought the Rams recovered that because Kittle had the first shot at it. Did they show a replay on the video board at SoFi?
No, it was hard to tell.
I thought, to me, it wasn't quite the Marcel Harris interception from the Texans game, but it was the same type of deal. Like, whoa, okay. It's kind of rare, when a call gets made and then the next play just happens and there's not like an 8-minute review. It's like because they don't review that.
The scouting report on Jimmy. I mean, his
was that the first play out of the second half?
No, that play was like their second drive, I think.
Oh yeah,
second or third drive. It was it was in the first half. Wentz, because I went and looked at Wentz's box score. And he threw the one pick, but then I was like, no chance he didn't fumble. So I went down to the fumbles. He had a fumble, lost a fumble. So he turned the ball over twice. And there was just a turnover element.
Wait, Wentz had 2 interceptions.
It only said 1 on the box score that I saw.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it was a fumble and an interception then. I thought he had 2 picks.
There was just I was thinking what like makes Rodgers so great. Brady the last couple of years has thrown a lot of picks, right? For relative to him. Like he's to me always felt like a 5-6 pick guy, maybe 7, 8. What Rodgers is doing, and this is why he's the best player in the league, he does not give the ball to the other team. He just does not turn over. Like one thing that's awesome about Steph Curry, he's even though he's having a weird season, but when he's on, he's unstoppable. But he will constantly turn the ball over. Like Rodgers is like, if he was a basketball player, every single game I'm going for 34, but I'm going to have maybe a turnover. I'm not turning the ball over at all. Where most players, like, is Jimmy really that abnormal? Or are we just probably more critical because we live by it? Like, watching Stafford, same thing. Carson Wentz, same thing. Like, a lot of these guys, even Brady this year, bunch of picks. Like, Kyler turns the ball. Like, guys turn it over. Guys are just turning it over. And maybe it's because we're throwing it more than ever in the league. Now, Jimmy is on a team that runs the ball a lot. But if they could just find a way to avoid some turnovers, they can win playoff games. It's that simple. Like just thinking about it today on the plane, it's just God, it's hard to sleep on planes. Their elite players are just going to be as good as any team they play. Yeah. Like they're playing the Cowboys that have CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Tyron Smith, Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, Randy Gregory. It's like the Niners won't feel like you got better players than us, right?
Right.
And if anything, the Niners have more experience. They're like our guys. Half our core guys have played in a Deebo Samuel started in a Super Bowl. George Kittle started in a Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo started in a Super Bowl. Brunskill started in a Super Bowl. Fred Warner, Greenlaw, like all these guys, Emmanuel Mosley, Tart, Ward. These guys are ready. They know what it feels like. They know what it's like. Like there are going to be some guys in the NFL this year. Some coaches probably too. Like Sirianni, he's been to the playoffs before as an assistant coach, but now he's the head coach. Now he's playing Aaron's and Tom Brady. I know he's going to try to win, but to me, if he can keep it close, wouldn't that be a remarkable accomplishment if it's like tight in the second half for Sirianni?
Yeah.
But I bet he's a little tight this week. Like what do I got to do? I don't think the Niners probably, like I bet they were tight last week. I think this week they probably just kind of got the weight off their shoulder and just I think the Cowboys are going to be tight. Because how does Mike justify, and we'll talk about this on the podcast, can you imagine being one and done after the regular season they just had?
With the pressure that Jerry puts on you and I think it's after last year. I think part of the pressure goes back to last year when they went 5-12. No, 5-11.
Yeah, they were bad.
They're 12-5 this year. I think they went 5-11 last year.
Yeah, they're only 6.
Yeah, 6-10. They went 6-10.
And the thing with McCarthy is like kind of the elephant in the room. Is he going to have to get 2 new coordinators? Now, luckily, defensively, Jerry will pay like Fangio or Zimmer to come be his defensive coordinator. Like that feels like a lock. One of those 2 guys being his defensive coordinator, doesn't it?
I could see Kellen Moore being kind of picky, too. Like not just leaving to leave.
Would you say it'd be harder for them to replace Kellen than it would their defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think so.
Nussmeier just gets bumped up.
See, I wonder if this is a factor too. Every week has been a playoffs for us. Fact, John.
But that's not true because they lost to the Titans. And if that was a playoff game, the season would end. But
yeah, but they've been on. They have been, like the Cowboys have been playing for seeding, whereas the Niners have been playing for their lives. Irony is if they'd won that Titan game, they would have finished on like a 6-game winning streak.
They would
have 5 or 6.
Yeah, because the Jags, the Texans, the Rams. You're right. Atlanta. A little easier schedule down the stretch.
Well, that's the beauty of locking yourself into a third-place schedule like they did, Jen, this year. Make the playoffs and get a third-place schedule. Pretty ideal.
Someone forwarded me. Did you forward me that their schedule next year, they play a sweet schedule?
I did not forward that to you, no.
Someone forwarded me a schedule on another team. They're fucked. I forget who it was.
It might be the Rams.
I think it was. It's a little early to get into schedules, January 10th, but
I know.
Maybe it's never too early.
Identify end times says Eagles can beat the Bucks. Did you see the video of the Bucks watching the end of the Niners-Rams game?
Why would they watch the end of the Niners-Rams game?
Because they needed the Niners. They needed a tie because it got them the 2 seed.
Oh, so they wanted the Rams to win, so they basically get 2 home games until they play the Packers, in theory?
No, I'm saying they got the 2 seed because the Rams lost.
Yeah, so I'm saying, it was a really big deal for the Niners to win that game for them. Like, the 2 seed's a pretty good seed because, if you beat the Eagles, boom, you get another home game.
Right.
So it sucks you don't get the bye, but kind of like the Chiefs, this is the worst thing to get the Steelers. They already kicked their ass earlier this year. It's a pseudo kind of warm-up bye. And I think the Eagles they've already accomplished. They had an amazing season. They traded Wentz. They got a first-round pick, and they made the playoffs. You get beat by the Bucs, whatever. I mean, it's...
And I would add, and did it with, like, this head coach that everyone thought you were crazy for hiring, myself included. Like, Nick Sirianni made the playoffs.
I just think we make a big deal over the way guys talk now. And I think it feels like that's more... Now, his was bad. It was really bad. That first press conference was bad. But I do wonder if he's not used to talking a lot in that setting. It was probably, you're the head coach of the Eagles.
I think it might be that he's just kind of he's just kind of goofier than most coaches. I've seen him talk multiple times, just a little goofier than most coaches, which is that can work if
I know people around him really really like him. He's just a normal
goofy
guy.
I'm just different, just like his personality. Yeah. Just doesn't mean you can't be a leader. Doesn't mean you don't know football. But he does not act like other coaches act in a press conference. Which there's something to be said for just being comfortable being yourself.
Well, I think it's easy. Like LaFleur is a good example. He comes on the press conference. He's got chiseled jaw, facial hair always perfect. He's
eyebrows plucked.
Yeah, he's got a great, he kind of looks like an actor. And then he's well spoken, and he's also serious. So he's not a bullshit guy. So it's just like, this guy feels like a football coach.
Yeah,
and it's just because when you don't know a guy early on, you're kind of feeling him out. Like Mike Vrabel, it felt like the moment he started doing press conferences, it was just everyone just knew what he talked like and what he was like. It wasn't even Arians. You're just kind of used to doing. How about the thing that you retweeted about Matt Rule today on Sam Darnold? Jesus.
You watch that?
Oh, my God. In fairness,
he's right. They were stuck.
I do think sometimes, and this gets back to Flores and Tua, it's easier to say, be a pro. And there's also, I'm a fucking human, and this fucking sucks, and we're screwed. But it's like, you're the head coach, bro. That's also because he didn't lie. Everyone, the person asking the question is like, why are you guys such an idiots for picking up this 5th-year option, basically, is a question. And it's hard to hide it. You can't say we kind of hide it right off the bat. It's harder to me as time goes on. You're just like, I can't even take talking about this anymore.
He fired his offensive coordinator during the season.
How much? But his 5th-year option isn't, it's not like it's $30 million at least. It's like 18.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you're stuck. You're stuck with that guy on your roster when you already know, when you knew 2 months ago he's not the quarterback of the future for you.
That's where I give him somewhat of the benefit of the doubt of when you have that much time to stew about it, it's really hard to hide it. But part of being a coach is you have to hide it.
Yeah, it's just you.
Can you improve him, or does he just suck? That'll be I guess he probably just sucks.
I mean, not having Christian McCaffrey play seemingly with any consistency is a problem. Raiders are +6 in Cincinnati. Pats are +4 at the Bills Saturday night. Eagles are +8.5 at the moment. Niners are +3.5. Is it 3.5 or 3?
Well, you're not logged in. I think it's 3.
No, okay. Steelers are +12.5. You like the Chiefs there? Chiefs -12.5 at home.
Yeah. It's probably risky to bet huge playoff spreads, right? I probably wouldn't be in the business of. Probably be a stay away. I got the Niners at +3 and 100. So if we bet $500, we would win $500. There's no vig on it. There's no -110. I kind of like that.
I do too. I think the Cowboys can be good. I'm not abandoning, as someone who said.
No, they are good. I mean, they got really talented players. They have a solid quarterback. They have a lot of weapons. From a matchup standpoint, I mean, they got weapons on the outside. The Niners, just weakness. I know Ambry Thomas just had the play of his life, but Mosley being back helps. You have a real corner, right?
Yeah.
A real NFL corner.
What's up with Tart? Groin. I guess we won't know for a little while.
Kyle probably talks the way he kind of looked. They had a special teams play that he might have been on, and then he went out with the starting defense. I think there might have been a TV timeout because me and Scotty were watching him, and then he kind of looks at the sideline. He's in the back with him and Jimmy are 20 yards away from the lineman, and he kind of waves, and then he fucking goes to the tent. Never seen it.
I'm sorry, you got to turn on ESPN real quick. Andrew Luck is on TV.
He's in the Hall
with
of Fame.
RG3, huh?
They're doing the College Football Hall of Fame nominees. He's one of them.
He's wearing a black. It looks like a Stanford. It doesn't. I can't see if there's a logo, but it looks like he's wearing a Stanford. Just one that he had from his college days, and like a black blazer over it that obviously doesn't go with a polo shirt. He's got a mustache. Looks good. He's lost some weight.
I missed this guy.
Hold on, let me bring a photo of this in here. I mean, look, he looks fantastic.
That was 1 and 2, huh?
What's that?
That was a pretty famous 1 and 2 in a draft.
Yeah, that draft. I mean, when do guys go into the College Football Hall of Fame that quickly? I guess it's been a little while since it was.
Is he a lock College Football Hall of Famer?
Well, I thought that Is that not why he's there?
The nominees, I think, for the next year's class.
Yeah, he's a lock.
It's like him. He was one of the headlining names. I forget.
There's always a lot of good candidates.
Do you factor in more than just stats, like him resurrecting a program? I don't even know what the criteria is for the College Football Hall of Fame.
I think the main criteria is you have to be a first-team All-American. You have to have been a first-team All-American to qualify.
So they only do the cream of the crop. Like you had to be an elite player.
Yeah, there's no like, oh, in hindsight, this guy was better than we thought.
I like that. I think the NFL should do that. You have to be a first-team All-Pro minimum 2 times. You're right.
Which is hard because if you play with other great players at the same time, right?
Yeah. Why? Do you know how many times Roethlisberger's been a Pro Bowler?
Why is this like artistic? How many?
6.
Wow. That's
think
low.
Think about the AFC. His entire career was Brady and Manning. Rivers had a ton of years, right, that he was sweet. The AFC, Mahomes came in at the end.
Did you say Luck? Sorry.
I didn't say Luck. Luck took some of those years. Well, he was sweet. Jets didn't have anybody. AFC South. Colts, Luck. But it's just Manning and Brady were going every year.
Comment. Luck looks like he drives a Subaru and has opinions on dog parks. I know what that means. That's funny.
I really, really appreciate a guy that doesn't even, like, that is Andrew Luck, that picture. I'm not faking. I'm not going to buy a shirt just because I have to go. Like, this is me. I'm going to wear a cotton T-shirt, collared shirt.
Don't you think that's a Stanford polo from 2011? Nike?
Yeah, or I could see, like, his rookie year, like it's an NFLPA shirt or something. I mean, it's something that he got for free from an event. Stanford, NFLPA, maybe, like, rookie all-pro team, something like that. Because, look, it's not the dry fit. It's not the material of collared shirts that have been made in the last 5 or 6 years, right? It's not like like a Lynxall. Could it be Travis Matthews?
Could be. I thought I saw a little swoosh under the. And since you told me college football, it made me think he's wearing a Stanford logo.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I would imagine they send him new stuff. How bad did the Colts wish he would come back? Very badly.
I think the look would have been probably then go instead of the jacket, maybe like the Stanford pullover, but maybe it's too big because he's lost some weight since then.
Oh, could be.
How much do you think he weighs right there? I think he was like 240 as a player.
I mean,
210.
Yeah. Looks like he's a size 34 waist.
Look how big that motherfucker is. RG3 is like 6'2". How many inches does he have RG3 by? 3.5? He's huge. If I was Chris Ballard, I would have just fallen out of my chair seeing him.
No, he's here? Send somebody in to go talk to him. Remember when Schefter retired him at halftime of a game?
Who?
Andrew Luck.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't that story break during a game? At halftime?
Preseason game. Yeah, or maybe the second half because he got booed when he walked off, right? Wasn't that the thing?
It was so. Oh, that's right.
And then Schefter, there was a lot of stuff like, should he have held it? Should he not have? It became like a big media
Well, it was like
story.
one of
Did
those
he handle it right.
He was supposed to. Anyway,
Do you think you have the right as Adam to do that mid game?
it depends. Were you told the information?
Clearly, he was.
But I'm saying, were you told the information under the condition that you don't break it yet?
I'd say Adam falls under the category. He only releases what he's told. Is like, hey, this is you. But who would have told him? Because wasn't it Chris Ballard didn't even know that was part of it. That the Colts.
Oh, really?
I don't think he had told everyone yet. But remember he wasn't healthy. Part of it was like he wasn't even going to be able to play. Remember, it was like, could he practice? It was training camp. They showed back up at training camp. He was injured. Then they were getting close to the season. They're like, oh, they're going to have to put him on PUP. And it was just kind of getting weird. It was like, oh, what's our quarterback situation? Then it turns out, didn't he get hurt snowboarding?
Oh, is that what it was? I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, he got hurt playing football, and then he later was snowboarding and re-injured it, I think.
Oh. John, a recap here of the I'm not going to show that. That's shitty. Can I get one good schedule NFL from somewhere, please? Did anyone find a good NFL bracket? Tell me in the comments. There's no good NFL bracket.
No, you just go to ESPN.com. They just go to the schedule.
Well, that's what I got right here, but it's not. Anyway.
That's not terrible.
Okay. I like the bracket with like the seeding, although the bracket changes depending on who wins and loses. I like the seed next to a team.
Does it really matter, though, in the NFL?
No, I just like, well, you reseed based on who won, who lost, right?
So if the Niners were to win, I guess the only way they would play the Packers. Could they play the Packers in the following week? I don't think they could.
See, this is where I need to look at the seeds real quick. The 1 seed. Why couldn't they? No, I guess
because a 4-5 has to win the game.
Yeah.
Right? So the 4-5, assuming the Eagles lose, the 4-5 has to play. And if somehow the Eagles upset Tampa, they would play the Packers. So I don't think the Niners can play the Green Bay Packers. They're a lock to play.
But if Tampa wins, they're the 2 seed, right?
Yes.
Wouldn't they play the winner of the Rams-Cardinals game then? If the Niners also win, not like if the Bucks win, they knock out the 7 seed Eagles. The Rams, Cardinals, whoever wins that game is a higher seed than the Niners. So Niners would play the Packers because the Niners would be the lowest seed. And the only way the Niners don't play the Packers is if the Eagles win. NFL on Instagram has a good.
Oh, so for some reason in my head I thought like NFL bracket. I thought it was like a bracket. They were locked.
Yeah, they put out a bracket, but you reseed. Yeah, not reseed, but the 1 seed that's part of being the 1 seed is you play the quote unquote the worst team left, right?
So you're right. If Tampa wins, the Niners are going to play the Packers.
Yeah.
Do you think that the NFL would like that? Niners Cowboys, Niners Packers.
I mean, you could get so here. What's the ideal? Hold on, let me.
It's McVay, Tampa, I think.
Yeah, McVay, Tampa is the other ideal. On the other side, you'd want Chiefs. You'd want Titans, Patriots, the 1-6 over Titans, Bills.
No, I think it's more fun to watch Josh Allen. I think, but having Bill there doesn't suck.
Yeah. Okay. So either way, that's a win. Titans, that's a win. But if the Bills win, they don't play the Titans.
Who would they play?
Depending.
The Chiefs are going to win.
Yeah, the Chiefs will win, but the Titans are the 1 seed, so they're going to play the winner of the Bengals-Raider game.
Unless one of those teams upset.
Unless the Steelers or the Patriots win.
What I think the NFL. Would this be the craziest Kyle Shanahan run of all time? Beats the Cowboys, beats the Packers, and then McVay. Would you rather have, you personally, NFC Championship game? Not trying to get ahead of ourselves. Obviously, we got a long way to go. Harbaugh's won some road games, though, right? He did it. Would you rather face the Rams or Tom Brady in the NFC Championship? I'd pick the Rams.
You're saying what would from an entertainment standpoint? You're just saying like if you want to watch a team win.
Yeah, from an entertainment, like just storylines, what would you choose? McVay, Kyle 3.0,
or Niners Bucks?
Yeah, I'm kind of over the Bucks.
Are you? The Brady does nothing for you?
Yeah, no, he doesn't do anything for me. I'm just ready for someone new.
Yeah, I mean, Niners Rams would be. You've won 6 in a row against a team. 6.
Could you make it 7?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you could. Of course you could. But I mean, Tom, the team, he wanted to come play for the Niners. He's from the Bay Area. He grew up loving Joe Montana. Now the problem is that game to me would feel a little bigger in San Francisco than in Tampa. That's where I'm with you. Is Tampa just does not.
It doesn't do it for me.
As a stadium, like the big boat. SoFi?
I'm in. I am in.
I mean,
Ambry Thomas. Do you like Ambry Thomas in the second round covering Devontae? Or is that probably a tough matchup?
E-Man gets him.
He's feeling himself. Even E-Man.
Devontae?
I don't know if he can cover him either.
Bengals. One thing I don't think we talked about this. Maybe you mentioned it, but I thought of it today. I'm like, I don't think we talked about this. The other reason to go for the win if you're the Raiders, it's just you'd rather play the Bengals than the Chiefs.
100%. So when they were probably talking on the headset, should we tie? Should we tie? Are they also talking? Well, what's the playoff matchup? Where do we go?
You do gain something by winning the game based on the matchup.
100. What would the difference in point spreads have been? Raiders. Would the point spread be the same if the Raiders were playing the Chiefs? I mean, they beat them a combined 89-20 this year. How could the point spread be anything under 10? Right?
Yeah, I mean the Raiders.
89-20. It might have been 89-19.
Well, let's say it was 20 for the sake of math. The Raiders' point differential was minus 65. So if they didn't play the Chiefs or the Bengals, they would have had a positive point differential. And if they didn't play the Chiefs, they would have been minus 4.
So what would the point spread been if they were on the road round 1 Chiefs? Same as the Steelers? It's 12.5.
No, I don't think it'd be quite as bad as that. I mean, because they're better. I think the Raiders are better than the Steelers.
They beat the Steelers.
So, yeah, 10.5. Ramon says 10.5. That's probably right.
It's clearly a bad matchup for them, right?
Yes.
It's a bad matchup. Like the Steelers, because the Raiders I think they scored 30 points for the second time in 9 games. Their offense has not been doing great. And this goes back to the analytic movement on games. I'm all for going for it when you're playing an opponent who's scoring a lot of points. Like when you play the Chiefs, when you play the Rams, if Josh Allen's on, you're playing the Raiders who are just struggling to score. So you have part of the factoring in the numbers. And from what I've heard is like Telesco, the GM, believes to his core like they're doing the right thing. Like he's totally behind the guy. Like that's their organizational philosophy. Like it's pretty nuts. Would he have punted in Kyle Shanahan's situation on 4th and 18? Probably not, right?
Would have been insane not to, right?
But did you think it was insane? Yeah, well, in hindsight, but I thought it was kind of insane to punt, even though 4th and 18 is pretty ridiculous.
No, once it was 4th and 18, I didn't think it was insane to punt because, again, they couldn't run the ball and you had all 3 of your timeouts, which just shows
kicker
like
there was a punter.
You don't really. That's true.
And he actually had a good kick or a good punt.
40-yarder.
Yeah.
But it goes to show, like, if you're going to be in a close game, just one critical little thing about the playoffs, right? And this is where, for Bisaccia, for Sirianni, maybe for Cliff, do you end up just not having to use a timeout in the second half is a big deal if you're going to be in a close football game. Having all 3 of your timeouts when you get to the end of a game is a pretty big deal. And you said it last night. I think it's safe to say that Dante Whitner was right, that Jimmy Garoppolo gave the Niners a better chance to win. You said last night they don't win the game if Trey Lance is the starting quarterback. I agree, although maybe there's some mistakes early in that game. But nonetheless, my point is, what are the odds you get to the last minute and a half of that game without having used a timeout in the second half if Trey Lance is the quarterback? Probably low. And that has nothing to do with Trey. It's just a rookie quarterback. what are the odds you get
slow
down
to the
end
line of
the game?
scrimmage? You can't hear. You just
You want to help him with a play because he didn't adjust properly. Whatever. There was a play actually when you think about it. Kyle Juszczyk might have saved the Niners season.
Kyle doesn't waste a lot of timeouts.
No,
he's not. If anything, he usually has them all. Definitely in the first half. He goes to the halftime with timeouts. I mean, feels like out of their 17 games, I would guess 12 of them, he went with a full deck. That might be high, but now at the end of the game, he will call a timeout for offense. Like if their offense is behind, but defensively they don't blow that many timeouts. But you're right. I mean, that's where this shit for these playoff games, the details of turnovers, of wasting timeouts, of even having timeouts at the end of the first half. When we were at the game and he defers the kickoff, and Larry, Scotty's dad, was like, Bill Walsh's thing was always the opposite. You always caught it. His mindset was, I scripted the plays. I want to. If I can get the ball fast, I'm gonna score. And that's really changed over the last decade. I think Pete Carroll kind of started that now with defense, but I think a lot of coaches now just defer, and it can work. Like in the position the Niners were in, it was a huge momentum swing. And listen to Brady talk about it. Maybe Belichick did it too, because you can have a 14 or minimum a 10-point swing in games. Right at the end of the first half, and then to start the half. That's boom, 10 points. So if you're down or you're up, if it's 10-10, all of a sudden you're up 20-10, right? You kick a field goal to end the half, and then you get the ball and you score a touchdown. All of a sudden you go from 10-10 to 20-10.
Yeah.
So maybe I've been convinced just defer, because I thought like if you win the toss, I would just try to put some points on the board, and they didn't, and then it backfired, but it ultimately didn't backfire. It was the right move. But at one point I'm thinking, well, the defer if you're down 28-0, who cares?
Right.
You got to be in the game for it to matter. And when you have the lead, you can really kind of I think Brady and Belichick, that's when they separate. Because, for the most part, you're not going to be up like 20 points in the first half. But if you're up 3 points and you can turn that 3-10 or 3-6 and then turn that 6 into 13, that's the NFL, right? It's boom, all of a sudden you're up 23-10. It's like, fuck, we turn the ball over, we're done.
That's where 17-0 is just it's pretty crazy.
17-0 felt huge. Felt like
I didn't touch the
football,
really.
35-0.
Yeah,
you're doing math in your head. You're like, this is crazy.
Well, part of it was like, how are you gonna get stops? Right. That's what part of it. I think why it felt bad because like, how are you gonna get stops? So, check this out. Like in the interest of this conversation, you could make the case. I think that Kyle Juszczyk helped save the 49ers season. Might have saved the 49ers season because they got to the end of the game with all 3 of their timeouts because they didn't have to use one of their timeouts here. You can't see it because I've got the bar doesn't show you everything. You might see when I hit play, but this is third quarter. Okay, 5 minutes left. 1st and 10 for the Niners. And the play clock, you're going to see when I hit play, it should disappear. So you see the play clock is down at 7, 6, 5. Now watch, Garoppolo puts his leg back to shift Aiyuk, and Ayuk's not even looking, doesn't see it. And so here's the shift. Ayuk's not looking. Juszczyk screams at him and waves. Now Aiyuk looks. Now he shifts after the second time. Watch. Leg bob. Aiyuk not looking. Juszczyk yells, points. Now he goes in motion with 2 on the play clock. Like does Jimmy snap the ball if Aiyuk doesn't go in motion here, or do they call a timeout?
They obviously ran a run play there.
Maybe they might snap the ball anyway, right? I don't know what Jimmy's supposed to do there.
But if Kyle didn't like the look, he might have just blown a timeout right there, right?
That's what I'm saying. So Juszczyk. Now again, I don't know. Maybe
how'd you notice that? That's a good.
Well, I just was watching the game. I saw it, and I thought of it while we were talking about this. And you can't tell here when I recorded it. The sound doesn't come across, but you can actually hear Juszczyk on the game broadcast. You can hear him yell.
Brandon
he yells. He says something, but it's probably Brandon. Oops. It's probably Brandon, and then right here he yells. Brandon looks. Now he gets his attention. He tells him, "Come on." There's 3 on the play clock. Now there's Jimmy's leg goes back again. Brandon. Head turn, shift, go, and then he goes. So I don't know if Jimmy maybe Jimmy just snaps the ball anyway, since I don't know. But if they need a timeout right there, then they only have 2 left, and then it's a different game at the end.
The only way they win the game is with the 3 timeouts. I mean, just the way they had to have those 3 timeouts to get the ball back because it was under the 2-minute warning, right?
Yeah.
Do you like it when there's like on the before the punt, before the Von Miller sack on like 3rd down to make it 4th and 18? On 1st down, it was like 2:20, and they run I forget the play. It got them 3 or 4 yards. And then they hurry up to try to get another play off before the 2-minute warning. I don't really like rushing there. Like trying to it feels a little rushed. Like you got time on your side. I might wait till after the 2-minute warning to run my next play. I don't know if that's right. I guess time being finite, like every second matters. But when I was watching it live, I was like, I don't love rushing this, especially if it doesn't work. Because you're rushing, you're doing these, and then everyone's kind of gassed, and you run a play and it didn't work.
You're saying on with 2:03 left to get it in before the 2 minutes.
You get the play, and then they ran the 3rd down play.
Yeah.
At 197, I think.
Yeah.
But did they? Because the Rams
I thought it was
call timeout
2:03.
Maybe they got all plays off before the 2-minute warning.
I thought they did. Well,
why would the Rams have taken a timeout? They would have let the clock keep going.
Yeah. So the possession started. The Rams got that ball
by 150.
At 150. Yeah.
What were the 3 plays that Jimmy ran? 220, 202. He threw an incompletion, so they got to run 3 plays. They got lucky because the sack happened on the 2-minute warning, and they didn't have to use a timeout.
Right. It happened. I think that play started at 2:03, so they did 2:02 or 2:03.
That's why you have. Now I've talked myself out. You had to do that. They would have been fucked.
So they got 2:02. Jimmy got sacked. 2-minute warning, and then the punt. Yeah. So the clock stopped after the sack. Because of the 2-minute.
What would they have done if that was under the 2-minute? It was going to because the Rams
would have used a timeout.
They would have had to, and then they would have used 2 timeouts, and then they would have run 40 seconds. They would have got the ball back with 40 seconds.
They got that drive started 2:29, pass to Kittle. Remember, he's inbounds. They hurry up, no huddle, incomplete pass to Kittle. Then he gets sacked.
What did they get the ball back on the final drive? Like $130?
127, I think. Let me look.
So if they would have had to use the timeout, you would have had to remove 40 seconds from that probably, right?
Yeah. 127. Because the Rams only took 50. They punted with 50. So what is that, 30 seconds, 23 seconds off the clock. Would you have considered throwing on 3rd and 10 if you were the Rams, or you just make the Niners use that last time out and then you punt?
Yeah, because how can you, if you incomplete it, that's the kind of old school McVay, Brandon Staley, those guys would have thrown. Like you play to win, you don't want to give the ball back, because then the percentages, you just give them a chance to score. Again, all these percentages, what's this based on? Just previous situations?
It's just the full body of work.
Accumulation of games over the history of the sport.
Right.
But every game's so different. We've watched
your opponents.
Games.
Your opponents are now. I do, like I said before. I remember Neil Brown at West Virginia. I did a West Virginia game, and he was saying that the percentages, like all the analytics packets they get at the beginning of the week, are opponent based. They are based on your opponent's tendencies. It's not just blind numbers. So there is some specificity to it.
Don't all the colleges now get they get the breakdown information from PFF? I mean, they get
PFF, or there's other companies out there that I think do it.
They subscribe to stuff.
Yeah, they have consultants, not necessarily full time. They've got their own full time guys, and then they've got what the right corner for Kansas State, his completion percentage. I mean, some of the stuff they have is pretty good. Like you want to know, like this corner on certain routes, gives up 80% completion percentage. Even though I've always pushed back, people like, well, numbers is now in football. Well, what do you think the quality control guys do? You think they just are telling the head coach when to call timeouts? No, they're breaking down spots and getting numerical values on down and distances and specific things with the opponent.
And everything is like, well, coach, on 3rd and 8 for the last 5 games, this is what they ran. What is that? Isn't that numbers?
Yeah. It's the same stuff.
Yeah, Debo's going to get paid.
Yeah, how much is the question?
A lot. I'd say if they give him $60 million guaranteed, that's a pretty team-friendly deal.
By the way, speaking of expensive receivers, how about the underrated, the first play of overtime for the Rams? Where Odell, gets in front of the ball that was, I think, intended for, was it Kupp? I think it was Kupp. Do you remember that play?
Keep explaining it to me.
Well, they're both out in the left flat.
Could have been
Stafford's throwing the Kupp, who is covered. Odell's also out there in front of Kupp. Almost makes a one-handed catch as he brings it down to his hip. It falls out. But there's no way they were both supposed to be there. No chance.
Well, I think doesn't Cooper Kupp get the benefit of the doubt? He knows where to be.
Yeah, that's what. So here is a team who had to bring in Odell Beckham Jr., which bad rap in Cleveland.
They did lose. I mean, it wasn't before, but Robert Woods being out,
No, I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, the Rams, who I thought at a point in time were definitely the best team in the NFL, have just had to. They've had that's a pretty weird thing to have to do to try and fold Odell Beckham into your team.
Yeah.
During the season?
Not ideal. And he's nowhere near what he once was, clearly, right? He can't hold Cooper Kupp's jock or Deebo Samuel's jock. This guy was 3 or 4 years ago one of the best players in the league, and now he's really famous. They just have a really famous guy who's their number 2 wide receiver. Really, when you look at their weapons, beside Kupp, are they that great? I mean, Sony Michel, Belichick traded for a bag of balls. Higbee's okay. I'd take Higbee. Higbee made a couple plays. Higbee had a sweet touchdown. Great throw by Stafford.
Kind of, I think, similar to Dallas, where, Higbee, and I think the same way for Schultz. It's just when you start thinking about Dallas, you think seven guys run all over the place. But with Gallup out, Tony Pollard's the better running back right now than Zeke, even though Zeke, got more carries and went for 1,000 yards this year, right? Tony Pollard's the better back. Reading and just listening to some of these Dallas people, all they're talking about is how Zeke has no burst. But CD is if I told you right now Amari has 9 for 109, I don't think that would shock you.
No.
Right.
Well, to me, Amari's the type guy like Kupp, when you can just be a great route runner. To me, 2 guys eviscerate bad secondaries. Route runners just means they're always open. Or just the physical freaks. Julio did it a couple years ago. A.J. Brown. Where there is just no answer for you. No team does. Can you imagine if the Niners had to play Debo? What does Debo do against these guys in practice?
Well, that's the thing where it's Debo's probably a good example.
Aiyuk too. I mean, Aiyuk's really good.
But to me, if you're a yak guy, it's just practicing against you is not the same as playing against you.
No, that's true.
Football, to quote AJ Riding, our friend, more football happens when Deebo Samuel catches the football.
At one point in time, it looked like Brandon Aiyuk was going to have a season where he caught 30 balls. While the numbers are not great, I think 56, 5 touchdowns.
Okay.
But he's really played well, I'd say, the last 6-7 games.
And I think wouldn't you agree there's a couple games where he had 3 catches, but one of them was a 45-yarder? That was just a big catch. Feels like he had multiples of those.
And in fairness to him, he does not play for the Chiefs or Seattle, a team that's just going to have a game where they complete 30 balls, or the Packers. The Niners have several games where their quarterback just completes 14 balls. So if you complete 14 balls, the chances you're going to get more than 3 catches are not that high.
Aiyuk surpassed his 2020 yardage total.
Feels like he had bigger plays this year than he did last year.
It just felt like once he...
I think the play on the final drive yesterday got him going.
Yeah. Multiple times he got him going. It felt to me this year once he flipped the switch to on, he was just on the rest of the year. Even if he had a game with only 3 catches, it wasn't like Aiyuk didn't show up that day.
You take a victory lap on Kyle Shanahan nailing that one?
No, I don't. I'm not here for victory laps, John. I'm no Sean McVay.
You see the highlight? The ref told him to get the fuck out of the end zone.
You see, they asked Shanahan after the game. He's like, well, not they. Eric Branch specifically asked Shanahan after the game. He's like, that's probably something you noticed on TV. I didn't notice it.
Well, how would Kyle? I bet he put his head down and started walking the other way, right? You don't notice your viewing experience on TV is much different than at the game. Like, you don't really know. Like, you text me, Wisnowski, concussion protocol. How would you have any clue at a game, especially with a road team, what is going on?
Well, like, if the game had just started, would you, like, do you check your, that's why the beat writers, what do they do at a practice? They all get out the roster and they just go through, check. That's the only way. Kyle Shanahan doesn't, like, tell you, oh, so-and-so's out for disciplinary reasons unless you notice, right?
Yeah.
So if you were just sitting there having some beers, whatever, hanging out, how long would it take to, you might notice right away that Trent Williams isn't playing, but you're not necessarily, if you didn't know Trent Williams, now I guess you might have known he wasn't practicing. It's something to look for. He does kind of stand out.
But I would also I went into, it never crossed my mind at 71. It might have taken me a quarter to notice because you're not looking necessarily at the left tackle.
I do. I'm a big offensive line guy.
One thing that would have jumped out is, why is Robbie Gould going back to punt? That would have been weird.
Well, like, would you have noticed Juszczyk just holding?
Yeah, but I feel like he's done that before in pinches, so I don't know if that would be that weird.
Yeah.
The Robbie Gould punting would have been pretty like, whoa, what's going on there? You do notice, like, when they throw Debo back to kickoff return, like little things like that, but you do not know, unless you see the guy, like the Rams lost a corner, number 4. Like, you see that guy, you're like, okay, that guy's injured. But Wisnowski, I didn't see, was he on the ground for a while? Did he get up and kind of wobble and then go off? Like, what happened? Did you notice him? Their wedge was pretty sweet. Whatever their play was, they had 2 guys. I mean, it was just a Hightower special. They clearly knew. They had 2 guys probably 7 yards ahead.
Hightower got a double block in. Sorry. Keep going.
2 guys ahead of the punt returner. And then they had this weird thing, and it just worked like, oh, my God, they got the wall. And it was like 6 guys. And he was, at one point in time, like, he's going to score. He's going to score a touchdown. So Wisnowski didn't tackle him. He just took out some other guy.
Wisnowski went helmet to helmet with the guy that was in front of the guy that was one of the blockers in front.
Because Wisnowski turns himself into a linebacker and probably tried to take guys out, right?
He just went in like this and just.
He lost.
But he, But not everybody.
But he was going out to make collision, right? He was going in. He wanted the smoke.
He wanted the smoke. He sacrificed himself, basically, and perhaps the Niners punting game.
Well, then when Robbie, you could see like, as when you're the kicker, especially field goal kicker, you don't have to worry about tackling. But you saw a couple guys talking to him. He buckled his chin strap. Like, okay, well, if someone comes, I'm the last line of defense here. This is football. The punt is a lot different. Field goal, like it's violent collisions potentially for everyone involved. No one is truly safe. But I give him, his first one was very, very shaky, but it got an incredible bounce.
Yeah,
he got an incredible bounce and then went like 20 yards. Yeah, but
I was
in the air, it looked bad.
Where was that one field? The second one was like, in the shadow of his own end zone. Where was the first one? Was not that far off from.
No, probably 30 to 25 yard line range. It just didn't go very high. For a second, I thought, should he go college style? The rollout liner.
I think that's a hard kick.
Why do college guys do that? Do you ever ask a coach because their kickers can't kick?
So a lot of the Aussie guys do it.
Oh, they're just comfortable doing that move.
You get a roll. Harder to get a sky return out of it.
It's like hitting a stinger in golf.
You get a little space potentially hitting a stinger in golf. Yep. The MIDDLEKAUFF. Did you see? I
feel like in the NFL,
Phil go off the deck last week with the driver.
Yeah, he did.
You get a little space, and you can kind of see. Do I want to run it? Which guys don't, but
I saw Phil. That course at Kapalua is really hilly, and on like Thursdays, like I don't know if I'm going to make it. He's like, I'm 51. This is a hard walk.
It's probably humid, right? It's hot.
Yeah, I heard a story. I was listening to the No Lane Up podcast on the plane, and Stevie Williams made a bet with like Tiger that because the hill, it's very undulated, just the rolling hills of Hawaii, that he could go tee box to flag 18 holes in 30 minutes. And it's like a legit, like up and down. Stevie Williams like ripped, and he did it in 28 minutes. I guess one of the commentators said it on the thing. It's like a legendary story. Like Stevie on like a Monday of the tournament just went tee box to flagpole. You got to touch them both. Next hole, high level jog, 30 minutes. him and Tiger might have been meant for each other. I mean, who would even have that idea? Has to be the first caddy in golf history to even think about doing that.
Which makes sense. Like, you always watch caddies and you think they're probably working harder than the guys walking around without a bag on their back.
I think part of the reason I walked twice, but Saturday was, I mean, it's a pretty intense walk. This course is going to be really cool for the U.S. Open in a year. But the walk really wore me out. And then we went out to dinner and just had, ended up having a long night for 37. So you were probably out till 10:30, 11. But then the next day, when you're getting ready to go to a football game, you don't just like wake up and lounge around. Like, you kind of got to get out the door. It's like by about 8, you're already thinking about it. I got to shower, get ready, and go. And then it just goes. And then I was like, I'm feeling kind of shitty. Maybe I'll just have a beer, feel a little bit better. That actually didn't work. Made it worse.
What is that? Like, is that like you're trying to
Well, they say the hair move. They say the hair of the dog. It has worked for me before. It's not I don't do the move. Well, I'm not a big enough drinker, but I think drinkers, to feel better, you just do a cocktail. It's why people do the Bloody Mary, and they feel, I don't know, you just can't feel your hangover, and you just feel normal again. At Cal Poly, the older guys used to call it the shampoo effect.
What is that?
Like you could just leave the shampoo in your hair. I can't even remember how this analogy worked now that I've had hair for so long. Because you don't leave shampoo in your hair, right?
Right.
Maybe when you shampoo your hair, you have it for a couple days. I don't know. I have to text someone. That doesn't even make sense now thinking about it. But it used to be called the shampoo effect.
I don't understand that one.
Have you ever used dry shampoo?
No.
It's probably a chick thing.
Yeah, I don't.
So you don't have to shower.
I just can't imagine that actually feels as good as having
your
hair
hair. Do you
washed.
dry your hair when you get out, or you just let it naturally just kind of dry?
With a towel.
Yeah. You don't do like, that thing.
I have sometimes, depending on what's going on up here. If I need a little more shape, sometimes you can. If something's not cooperating. By the way, we need some more shave it or save it submissions here in the new year. We got to get back to some shave it or save it. A lot of people like sending us like
Trey Lance,
public figures. Yeah. Trey Lance.
I'm gonna leave the young guy alone, but he's got a little Trey Young thing going where I don't expect him to have full head of hair at 40.
Yeah.
Jimmy is fantastic. You see Jimmy's suit yesterday? Like, that guy came suited and booted to that game.
If Alex Guerrero's still making money off all of Brady's teammates, Brady's suit guy's probably still making money off all of Brady's former backup quarterbacks.
I'd have a hard time. Maybe as the quarterback, it's just like the unwritten rule. You kind of have to do it. I mean, when I see like Kittle or like Fred Warner, they have like a sweatshirt on. Like, I just played a football game. I'm going to fucking put on a suit?
No chance in hell.
When
like, you can dress nice hoodie, nice, you can wear just dress like Axe from Billions.
Yeah, or I mean, at most, like, just have a button-up shirt or something. I don't think I can go full suit. No you're chance. Going home
on a plane. Like, getting on a plane. You get on a plane.
I do wonder if it's sneaky unwritten rule, but Rodgers doesn't wear a suit.
It used to be a written rule, but it got really relaxed. I know for baseball, for basketball, I think there's like a no blue jeans probably as a rule that people have. Right?
I don't think in football though.
No blue jeans.
Like casual blue or just jeans?
No, like make them dress jeans. I remember when I flew with the A's a few times, it was like no, like just Lee jeans that your dad used to mow the lawn in.
Maybe the rule for some teams is you can to go to the game, but you can wear whatever you want after the game.
I remember there
because it does feel like pretty lax when you watch some of those guys. Like, I don't think they're wearing like slacks and a hoodie, right? You can wear sweats. That'd be probably my move. Just team sweats. That's the easiest.
To me, the funny one is like for a home game. It's like for your 15-minute car ride and the walk into the stadium.
Yeah,
suited and booted. Looks
so
like feel good play.
It's like you're going to the local VIP room with your buddies to fucking eat dinner here. Yeah. It's like wear whatever you want.
I got a national championship. I crunched some numbers, John, on the national title. You ready for this Saban stat? So if Alabama wins the national championship against Georgia tonight, it'll be Saban's 8th national championship, 7th at Alabama. Okay. He took over at Alabama in 2007. So this is 15th year at Alabama. He is, since 2007, he has lost 8 home games.
How many?
8. So if he wins tonight, he will have as many national championships in his career as home games lost as the head coach at Alabama. Additionally, of those 8 losses at home, Bryant Denny, 3 of them came his first year at Alabama. So in the span that he's won 6 national championships at Alabama, he's lost 5 home games at Alabama. So since he took over at Alabama, take out his first year, he's won more national championships than he has lost home games, if you don't count 07. And if you count 07 when he lost 3 home games, then he has a chance to match his number of home losses with his 8th career national championship tonight.
What would you guess SEC games he's lost in the last 15 years? 20? I guess if you remove that first year, it can't be many.
No, even if you include the first year. I mean, I'll tell you, his conference record at Alabama, you were close, but
24.
high. No.
What is it?
16. He is 103-16 in the SEC.
You want me to rattle off from 08 to this year what he's finished in the SEC? First, fourth, second, first, tied for first, tied for first, second, first. And the second year, I mean, he's finished first guy every single year beside Joe Burrow since 2012 in the SEC West. That's what's obviously Nick is just adding to this legendary, resume. Kirby can really kind of throw his hat in the ring with Dabo and like you beat Nick in a big game. Like that's a pretty legendary thing to do. You'll never win as much as John Wooden or whatever.
Right.
But if you're one of the guys that beat John Wooden, what was the guy's name? Who used to be on with Vitale? He was like a famous college basketball former coach at Notre Dame, worked for
Al
ESPN.
McGuire?
No. White hair, worked at ESPN.
Was another analyst or
another analyst who was on like College Game Day, but for basketball. Digger Phelps.
Oh yeah.
I think Digger had a famous
Highlighter.
win. Didn't Digger have a famous win of the undefeated UCLA team? I think Notre Dame did in like the late 70s. And it's just something that changes your life in that venue, right? Think about Kirby. Are there 3 better college coaches, not named Saban, than Kirby Smart when you factor in the whole thing? Recruiting, how good he is as a coach. He clearly is really good. Have you just watched him talk? Like, he's a high-level guy.
Yeah, I enjoy him.
He's impressive. Like, he is a star. And it's just one of those, like, how many guys just ran into Brady or Tiger? You're just like, well, fuck. I mean, it wasn't my fault. Like, I'm beating everyone else.
He is only 46.
So could he become Nick, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, he's 40-9 in the SEC.
His conference is easier, or his side's easier.
Dude, he's 40-9. He's 65-15 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It's his second college football playoff. Pressure is incredibly high. He doesn't seem like he feels it.
Second natty, right?
You're right. Second natty, yeah.
Beat Lincoln Riley. He's playing Nick twice. It's like who you playing the BCS or who you playing the playoff championship? Nick.
His bowl games are rose, sugar, peach, orange, rose. The rose was a CFP and the orange this year CFP, and then sugar, peach.
He could definitely, if you had to put his over under national championships 1.5, I'd probably take the over.
Yeah, you probably would. Because I would say it. Kind of crazy to say this. Maybe now's not the time. I'm not selling Dabo, but I saw somebody say Dabo and Deshaun to Miami. But feels like that maybe. I mean, Dabo's already got championship, so
he's beat Nick twice.
Yeah, I was gonna say like if you said in the next 10 years who wins more championships, Kirby or Dabo, that was my thought. I was about to say Kirby.
Well, part of what makes Dabo why he's talked about so highly, because I think some people like his hype. His ACC sucks. He beat Nick Saban twice in the Natty, and one time beat the brakes off him.
Yeah,
the game you were at, beat the shit out of him.
Yeah,
which was
Game wasn't close.
Would you say that was one of the most alarming outcomes we've ever seen?
Yeah, because it was not even it was just the game. They picked 6 Tua early, like the first series. Might have been the first play.
Yeah, the right side, the dude just went fucking untouched.
It like Alabama was at its own like 25, so it was like a walk-in touchdown.
Beat the shit out of them. I can't. I would root for Kirby, but we have money on him.
Yeah. So somebody asked earlier. Where did this go? Give credit to whoever asked. What our play? Did we get it? What's the number we got Alabama at? +3, +2.5. Oh no, we want money line.
We want money line. We just need to win. Okay, I gotta make a quick call before I got this thing I gotta do at 5:00. Told this YouTube guy I'd come on his show.
All right. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Later.
See ya.